of the Siegfried line. And so, accompanied by tanks, we started out, and it was getting darker and darker and darker. This was September 3rd or 4th, somewhere around that time. And as we started to cross the Siegfried line over the Dragon's Teeth, we were getting shelled, but we couldn't, because the tanks were making so much noise, we couldn't hear the shells coming in. And to this day, I don't know whether they were mortars, which you can't hear coming, or if it was a self-propelled gun, or whether it was artillery. But anyway, I look back at Popeye, who was the gunner and was carrying the mortar, and he didn't have the mortar. I said, Popeye, where's the mortar? He said, back there, I dropped it. I said, go get it. He said to me, if you want it, go get it yourself. So I said, oh man, I got a problem here. So I said to Mike Lucas, I said, Mike, go get the mortar. Mike went, got the mortar, and became the gunner, and Whitey became the assistant gunner. Popeye, fortunately for me, he got wounded. Not seriously, but enough to keep him out of circulation for a couple of months. And he came back to us.
How did he get wounded? How was he wounded?
I think it was something in his hand, his hand or arm, from that firing that, as I said, I don't know what kind of shelling it was. We didn't hear any small arms fire, rifles or machine guns. And that we pulled into what looked like a bunch of trees, parked there for the night, dug a hole, and underneath the tank for protection. Of course, we told the tank, as they say, don't start up until you tell us when you're going to start up. We woke up the next morning and found we were in some kind of orchard. I think it was an apple tree orchard. And I became friendly with the tank commander, a guy by the name of Bill Birdie. Nice guy. Then
was he in the 32nd or the 33rd?
32nd. We always worked with the 32nd.
Which battalion? Which battalion of the 32nd? Second battalion, right?
I'm not sure which battalion, because their numbers weren't A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They were the first.
I know what you mean. It's okay. It's yeah. So
there were
it would be like task forces. So
there were light tanks, and light tanks were something like
A, B, and
company,
C. Yeah.
and
So,
they
yeah.
A, D, and H company.
Yep.
And what they did, they didn't leave them there. A, B, C, D, E, F. G. They moved a company of light tanks into each battalion. So each battalion had two companies of Shermans and one company of the light tanks. A British company was G is goodness company, and we got to work with, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. We moved up to the second line. At that area, there were two lines of Dragon's Teeth. This was the only area which there were two lines of Dragon's Teeth, because I believe it was usually an area where countries invaded each other because there were obstacles on each side. And at the second line, Lieutenant Corbett came over to me and said, it was daylight. We were stalled waiting for I don't know what. And there was a moraine. You know what a moraine is? Oh, it's a long section of dirt that was left when the glacier receded many years ago, and they're everywhere. And we set the mortar up behind this moraine, and Corbett came over and he said, I want you to drop some rounds on that pillbox. Saw a pillbox on the side of a hill. And I said, Lieutenant, this mortar won't hurt those. He said, I know that. He said, but it will at least keep them buttoned up so they'll close their peepholes. And so I looked at the range and I figured, it's probably about 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards. So there was an open field behind it, and I thought that I would give the range of 1,300 and then walk the shells in, because in front of the pillbox was some trees, and I wouldn't be able to see where the shell landed. So Mike lined it up, and Whitey dropped the shell into the mortar, and lo and behold, it landed right on top of the pillbox. And Corbett came over and said, what great estimation, range estimation. And I said, thank you, sir, not wanting to tell him that I really didn't estimate the correct distance. Then we crossed that line of Dragon's Teeth, moved on to
What town was that by?
Big Button.
What was the nearest town? Or what was?
Well, I don't know what the nearest town was, because we went near any towns, and we were moved to a town called Munsterbusch, and we were told to attack Munsterbusch. We did get out in the field, an open field, and the Germans opened up on us with small arms fire, machine guns and rifles. Killed 2 men, and one of them was Horton Smith. I'm sorry, Hilton Smith, and another was a fellow by the name of Thompson. We couldn't recover his body, and I found out later that he never did recover his body, and their names were on the wall of one of the cemeteries as the unknown or missing in action. But anyway, they drove us back, and we stayed there overnight, and it poured like the devil that night. Oh, did it pour. And we were in an area where the ground was clay, and we dug slit trenches and laid in the slit trench. And the slit trenches started filling, at least mine did, it started filling up with water. And I said, I gotta do something about this. I had a raincoat, but so I got up in the night and slooped the bottom of the slit trench, and then dug a sump hole at the end so the water ran in that. And I think once or twice during the night I had to get up and use my shovel, my helmet to pour the water out of that sump because it was overflowing. Next morning we get up, it was a bright sunny day, and we looked like claiming. We all had army raincoats, and they were plastered with clay, dried clay, and clay. And when it dried, we all just flaked it off. From there, instead of trying to take Munsterbusch, they moved us to the east, and we attacked a city called Stolberg.
When did that happen?
When did that happen? I'd say 5th, 6th, 7th of September 43. And it was on a hill. It was an industrial town. There were several large plants constructed of red brick. And we started up the hill, and the Germans opened up with artillery. We all hit the ground, and I saw a fellow lying next to me, and he had what looked similar to an army uniform, but wasn't the same. And it turned out to be a war correspondent. And I said to him, "What the hell are you doing here when you don't have to be?" And he said, "I'm wondering the same thing." And his name was, as I remember, was Gordon Frazier. And my folks, I wrote to them and told them about the incident, and they tried to find out something about him, but they couldn't. Then, while we were laying there, this lieutenant colonel, whom I had never seen before, who was William Orr, old, like in Bobby Orr. And I found out later that this was his first day of combat. And he kicked Mike Lucas in the sole of his boot because Mike was laying on the ground. He said, "Get up, soldier. Come on, we're going up the hill." And I met Orr after the war at a division reunion, and told him about the incident. And he said, "Do you know why I did that?" And I said, "I have no idea." He said, "Because General, oh gosh, I can't think
Rose?
of it. Huh?
Rose?
No.
Hodges?
Huh?
Hodges? General Hodges? No. Gillum? General Gillum?
No. Doan was a colonel then.
Oh, Doan.
Huh?
Doan. Leander Doan?
No.
No.
Doan, at that time that I'm talking, Doan was not a general, he was a colonel.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. But this was a short, chubby guy who always had a pipe in his mouth. And
Hickey?
Hickey. Yeah. And Orr said that Hickey said to him, "Bill, don't you think it's time we get the troops up the hill?" And that's when he started urging us up the hill. We got up the hill and got into the town, and there was a lot of street firing, a lot of shooting. I had two men who had been transferred from my squad. They were not in that picture. They were transferred to my squad, and they thought I was a baby face, didn't know what I was doing, and didn't want to be in my squad. So they were transferred to another squad. And they were two know-it-all New York cityites, and one of them got shot by machine gun fire. Was not killed.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. It was in street fighting.
What was
Something's going on this street. Something's going on that street, and one street might be easy. The other street hard.
What was his name? What was his name?
Jack. Same name as the. I'm sorry, my memory. Rothman. Jack Rothman.
So Jack got hit. What happened to the other guy?
He went crazy and ran out, and we tried to tackle him, and he had super strength. I remember him yelling, "They killed my buddy, they killed my buddy, they killed my buddy." They didn't kill him. And his name was Murray Hershkovich, and who changed his name to Bert something or other. And then we held that for a while. I guess we're running out of ammunition, running out of fuel, running out of everything, because we had outrun our supply lines. And we stopped where we were, and we were on a ridge line that was just beyond Stolberg, but you could look on the ridge line and down into the town. And from there we were relieved, and we went to a rest area in a town called Mouseback. And we stayed in Mouseback maybe 10 days, 2 weeks, and then we were sent back to the hill, or the ridge line, to the positions we originally had, and held out for 10 days, 2 weeks, and went back to Mouseback. We just alternated, so everyone got a rest. We had pretty much stalled, the Army had. They hadn't yet solved the problem on supply lines. And we stayed there for, that was September 10th or so. And once in October, we were told that we were going into the Hurtgen Forest, that a company was going into the Hurtgen Forest and be to provide flank protection for the 47th Infantry Regiment of the 9th Division. And they moved us at night, and it started pouring. and we went through that forest. It was pitch black, and I did this on purpose. I held my hand in front of my face. I couldn't see my hand. It was so dark, and we were soaking wet, and because we had to go through underbrush, and finally somebody came to their senses and had us pull back into a field, and we dug in at the field. We stayed there, I'd say close to a week. And then we moved back to Stolberg, Marshback routine. And then on December 10th, received, well, before that, I think it was December 6th, we received a new company commander because our company, well, we had a lot of company commanders. Had the first two that I mentioned, and then we had Corbett, and he was wounded. Then we had...
How'd Corbin get wounded?
I don't remember. Then after Corbett, we had fellow by the name of Major. His last name was Major, and he was only with us for a few days when one of the fellows was fooling around with a German Panzerfaust, and the thing went off, and in a blaze of fire, and it injured Major. And then we had replace him, can't remember his name. He was a...
Captain Berlin?
He was a Jewish fellow.
Berlin?
No. He was a Jewish fellow. I can't remember his name.
Who wounded...
well, anyway...
Who fired the Panzerfaust?
Anyway, yeah, if you had a directory, I could pick it up.
Yeah, who fired the Panzerfaust?
I'm sorry?
Who had the Panzerfaust?
I'm trying to think of his name. Guy who got a battlefield commission, became my platoon leader, and who later appointed me platoon sergeant. I visited him 3 times. He lived in the Maryland, DC area. Hyattville was the name of the town, I think, where he lived. Pete Colbert.
He fired the Panzerfaust?
Huh?
He shot the Panzerfaust?
Well, he was fooling around with it. That's all I know is that they told me he was fooling around with it.
Okay, so go back to Major comes in. Sorry, go back to how your company commander was wounded and Major became the new one. What was going on around then?
What was what?
What was going on? What happened?
Oh, we were, when Major was wounded, that was in Stolberg. This is before we were changing back and forth. And then we